some people may have heard in the audience, the issues lie in our tissues. So whenever we have a past experience, it's in the tissues of our brain. There are neural pathways, and I'm going to be a neuro geek for a moment. And but there are certain pathways that have been created based on those experiences. And so part of the work of being in the moment now is recognizing that you did have an experience, and consciously then making intentional choices to create a new pathway so that you can create a new habit, you can create a new thought, and the emotion that goes with that. Because otherwise, and as adults, we have very long and deep connections, neural connections. So it's important to be able to put a timestamp sometimes on an experience so that we know that the way that we felt, the way that we thought was because of a certain experience that happened at a certain time. And now that then creates space to be able to make a new attachment, a new connection.
Well, it's a very challenging thing, I think, and especially for many people. And it's hard to make a blanket statement, so to speak. But again, from my experience, is like I've looked at that. I've seen people who have held on to something and let it control themselves as they try to move on, and move forward with life. And it doesn't, because it always comes back as this excuse, as this reason for, oh, this is why things are like this. Whereas, you can look at it as, well, no, like we said, this happened, but that happened then. Now I'm creating the future. I'm creating the now. I think in the episode of Jeremy, you said the word now like 5 times or 5 or 6 times. I don't know if that was this episode or a different one, but it was like the now, the now. Yeah. So, but that's the thing is, it's like, okay, well, where are we right now, and where do we want to go? Now, when I'm working with a coaching client, I do, the first step I do with them is, where are we right now, and where do we want to go? Okay, but how did we get to where we are? Because there is influence from the past, and it needs to be dealt with. And that's one of my ways of determining, do I need to send this individual first to a therapist or a counselor who's qualified to deal with some really deeply ingrained things, or are we ready to move to the future? But I strongly believe that everything that has happened to us in the past is meant for us to be able to build a better present and a better future. We wouldn't be here in Dallas today if it weren't for, like we were talking about, this family unit and all the things that happened in our past. I was just speaking to an individual who's out here, because we're both autism parents, or parents of individuals that are autistic, and we're working on some programming, and we were talking about our journey and how we got here and all the events that led up to finding the school that we found for my son. And if we weren't focused on that family unit, we weren't focused on that development, the self-development of, like you said, Mindy, as a parent, being a parent is the best self-development, personal development program you could ever have. If we weren't focused on that, we wouldn't be here. And it's because of the events in the past that we were able to get to where we are. I don't know if that answered it. I kind of rambled, chasing rabbits.
Well, and I think also our unique experiences allow for us to then seek out opportunities that will then help us to grow as well, because we know that there are certain things that we might have interest in that came from childhood, and then and then we pursue those interests, and then and as we continue to shed some of the some of our past as well, it creates new interests, and then we can pursue those as well. And so I think that that's why it's important to recognize that we change every day anyway. We are not the same person that we are yesterday or were yesterday. We are a new person, because we wake up, in a sometimes in a different frame of mind. We have new challenges, new things that stretch us each day. And so as much as we might want to stay the same, or we might say that we don't like change, the reality is that change is happening anyway.